My question inside all of this, so that there's actually a conversation versus me just talking. My
Yeah.
question inside this is, I know we need to stay positive. I know we need to keep delivering this message. I know that myself and you and hundreds like us need to carry on taking a stage and saying it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But is it going to be okay?
Brother, I believe it is unquestionably going to be okay, because it's always okay and always been okay, because I believe in the human spirit. I believe in human innovation. I believe in human ingenuity. And I believe that we always find a way. And it's when positive leaders truly rise. And I went to Columbia University as an undergrad. I raised that because while I honor the brilliance of the minds in the Ivy League and academia, I also recall the fundamental overall, I don't want to put everybody in a category, but the overall desire to recreate reality and history of very intelligent people. So, you go back and say, well, were the American founding fathers really good guys? And are they the heroes we think they are? So let's analyze, who wasn't faithful, who was a drinker, who did X, Y, or Z. And I honor all of those thoughts, but I fundamentally ask this question: where would things have been without their singular focus towards an outcome for good? I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But I think what heroes are people who create immensely appropriate, integrity-filled outcomes that impact people massively in a great way. And whatever somebody's personal failings are, I think they're relevant, but I don't think it diminishes the outcomes they create. And so from all of this, I believe what will emerge and continue to emerge are leaders who find a way to create the disruptions, to find a way to overcome the challenges, to find a way to inspire, and to make incredible things happen. Ronald Reagan, for example, was president of the United States, and I lived through it. I was 10 years old when he was elected. And my grandmother, who I loved to no end and taught me so much, my dad's mom, loved Jimmy Carter and couldn't stand Ronald Reagan. And we didn't have money. And my grandmother lived most of her life in a tiny, what they would call a railroad apartment in Jersey City, where you had a parlor, which is a tiny sitting room out the window to look out into the street in the city. To the right was, you walked into the bedroom, just a bed sitting there with a TV. Past there was a kitchen, and the back was like a tiny little room with like a little cot sort of thing in the back. And that's where she lived her whole life. No money. At the same time, she'd be like, Ronald Reagan doesn't care about people. That we create these characterizations of people. But here's what I think about Ronald Reagan, for example. I don't know about any of it. Obviously, he's a good husband, bad husband. That matters to me, right? But what matters to me more for the job, he was there. I don't know if he was a great friend, not a great friend. I don't know. But here's what I know. He uses powers of influence, I believe, to help create unity, hope, belief back in America in a time when I think a really good man, Jimmy Carter, really good man, wasn't able to. And so who was a better president? Hands down, to me, Ronald Reagan. Because he led, he unified. My friends and I came out of Rocky IV, fired up to be Americans. I don't think we would have felt that way about our hope and our future and possibility if Ronald Reagan wasn't president. And then he used his influencing powers to create a massive disruption as he was dealing with the Soviet leader and with Gorbachev, and when they hit like a point where they were stuck in the communication, and he used emotional rapport building to create a scotoma and start over. And eventually his policies won out. And the thing that people in the 60s, my parents and me in the 70s, it's going to be a nuclear war and things are going to be crazy. We're going to kill each other. And the Soviets, it ended like that without the firing of a shot from the brilliance and ingenuity of a few. So when I'm asked, do I think it's all going to be okay? I'm really sure. And you're a great nation. Europe was almost taken by the Nazis. Like, that might have ended the planet for hundreds of years. And because of the incredible leadership, despite being attacked and attacked and attacked of Winston Churchill, and the mobilization of incredible citizens from Great Britain to mobilize and save the last army of Europe for another day to come back and fight, the world looks different. But Peter, I believe somehow, some way, those people always emerge. And in those moments, good triumphs over evil. I believe that. So that's my answer.
As you say it, I believe it. So that's good news.
And I don't just say it, like I know it, and I mean that. And I get if everybody has a hard time with it, but we always find a way. We do. And there is pain and suffering. My uncle was killed in a truck accident and died. You go, well, he didn't find a way. And it was the most difficult moment in the history of my family. Uncle Jimmy, the skis, we talked about it last week. So I'm not saying it works perfectly for everyone, obviously. People were killed, tortured, in concentration camps during the Holocaust. So really sad, atrocious, tragic, horrible things occur. But in the end, we as humanity, we find our way. I do.
You see, and that's where we are totally in alignment. I don't think I have any issue looking 10 years into the future and saying humanity is going to be fine. 10 years. And in fact, I think humanity will be better. Because, you just chose the Second World War as an example, and it's a great example because the Second World War gave birth to the Marshall Plan, which behind the US Constitution was probably the one single greatest piece of paper that was ever written in the whole of humanity, where we understood and learned that after the First World War, where we were punitive, where we punished Germany for what it did and gave rise to Hitler, right? That was, I'm looking at my country here, that was our fault, right? We took Germany at the end of the First World War and ground them under our heel and said, you do not get to do that again. And we gave a place of poverty and despair and horrible humanitarian conditions. And we allowed somebody like Hitler to take a stage and galvanize an audience. So at the end of the Second World War, and I'm saying this for people that don't necessarily know too much of the detail here, we invested more in rebuilding Germany than we did in rebuilding the United Kingdom between the UK and the US, which is why Audi, BMW, and Mercedes now rule the world. We invested more in Japan than we did in Hawaii, which is why Japan led the electronics revolution for the next 40 years. Because we said we've got to give prosperity, because prosperity is the only way that you get long-term peace. We delinked from the gold standard so that we could expand our economies without having to worry about inflationary and the scarcity of gold. So out of every single crisis I accept in a 20-year, 10-year, 30-year view comes a better version of humanity. My problem is more in this year, and it's been bugging me for days, and I worked it out a few days ago, I think I'm close to it. And what it is 3 months ago, you were receiving on average 10,000 messages, marketing messages a day. 10,000. Everybody listening to this call, you are receiving 10,000 pieces of marketing every day. I mean, that's a horrific number to start with.
Mm-hmm.
But all those 10,000 numbers, apart from, let's take out unblinded, so let's call it 9,998, were all telling you the same thing, which is spend money, your life will be better. Spend money, your life will be better. That's essentially what marketing and advertising in a consumerist society tells you. Spend money, your life will be better. I think that people had that connection, that pathway, that neural link in their brain baked in and repeated and repeated and repeated. And I think it closed down parts of their brain and their psyche. And I think people are now having to look, and since we're on, since we quoted Nazi and Hitlerism, let's stick there. I love this phrase at the moment. Nietzsche said, be careful how long you look into the abyss, because the abyss will look back. And I think people right now are looking into the abyss of their personal choices that they've made for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and go, I don't like myself. Without the shopping, without the Insta buying distractions, without wondering what color I should get my brand new car, I don't think people like themselves. And I think the rise in domestic violence, in domestic abuse, in suicides, heart attacks, and strokes is a huge price to pay. And maybe it's a worthy price, but a huge price to pay for that new humanity that we're going to build in 10 years' time. That's where I get so scared, is you remove all of that messaging, all of that advertising, all of that marketing, and you essentially say that consumerism is broken. Because I was on a legal call with Michael on Wednesday, the legal panel with Hackman and Kind.
Yeah.
And we had the pleasure of having Hannah with us, both dear friends of yours and partners of yours and amazing people. And they were describing the phenomenon, I don't know the right word, the phenomenon that you can sell car insurance in the States with PPI, which basically wouldn't actually cover you for a broken fingernail if something went wrong. And I'm paraphrasing, obviously, I don't want to represent their legal opinions here, but I was like, how is that legal? How is it legal that an insurance agency can sell PPI that wouldn't cover you for a broken arm? That's ridiculous. And so at the very least, surely the insurance agent should be legally obliged to tell the person, by the way, the level of PPI you're buying, don't even split a nail in an accident because it's not going to do you jack all good. Mm-hmm. And Michael said, innocently, but that's what the insurance companies have lobbied for and won. And I said, Michael, can we call it bought? And he went, sorry? I went, the problem I have, and I want to move to the States, so this is not an anti-American sentiment coming from me here. But the problem I have when I look at the States is, when did you decide to sell out justice? When did you decide to allow the entire thing to be bought? And how do you roll it back? It scares me.
Well, I'll drop a footnote there because I know it's not the point, but I have said for quite a long time that the greatest unifying factor for America and the greatest acceleration of justice would be unbelievably dramatic campaign finance reform. So it is, we have an immense alignment on many things, my friend, in terms of integrity and truth and justice and seeking the higher vibration. So I couldn't agree more. The idea that you can buy and pay for laws is horrifying. It is horrifying. So I could not agree more with you.
So so what is the manual for you and I? Well, I'm asking you for your secret sauce, for me and for everybody else listening to this. How do we actually unblind people?
You want the truth? Here's the truth. You build an army of free and like-minded people who are rooted in a philosophy of integrity. Oh, I think there's something out there like that going on. And you have it so that people can become a part of it, not like a religion, right? Not like something that is dogmatic. It's just simply, it's free, it has liberty, and it has a cornerstone of a simple principle of integrity, work ethic, and acceleration. But you don't even have to have the work ethic or acceleration. You can just have integrity. And whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you. And that's what I think we need. And that's why I'm doing something. People go, what is he doing over there? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, somebody said, very successful PR agency said to me recently, go, yeah, but like, what's the monetization model? I said, well, we do have programs and things, but like at the end of the day, if I didn't ever make a penny, this is what I would do. Because I think that if good people do and say nothing, nothing ever changes. But the best part is, I'm not trying to be the face of anything. I'm trying to have a concept, like be something, but not one that says, oh, we were abducted by aliens and we are aliens, and not one that says, if you don't believe this, then you can't come back into this building, and not one that says you have to help me make money off of you. Like, it doesn't say any of those things.
So two things. First of all, when you said if the good do nothing, nothing changes,
Yeah.
you have been proven incorrect on that with love and respect. If the good do nothing, it gets worse. It doesn't just not change, it gets worse because the other people are still busy.
I agree.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
So that just to actually give it its true weight. But the second thing is, you mentioned the conspiracy theory people, and well, you remember I said to you, I think it was last week, or I said I was on a call with Jared and he said something that was painful to me. It might not be with yourself. I was speaking to Jared and I asked him a question and he gave me an answer, and the answer hurt in a good way. It was useful pain to guide me in a direction. Mm-hmm. And I said, why is X, Y, Z happening? And he said, because your rapport building sucks, Pete. And I went, sorry? And he said, well, it just seems to me that half the people, there's a bunch of people that love you, respect you, get you, and there's another bunch of people that don't understand you and get you at all. And it seems to be a choice that you've made. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's one of my failings, one of my Achilles, and something that I'm working on is looking to see love in everybody versus going, you're worthy, you're not worthy. And so I have a total filter on worthy, not worthy. And you mentioned, the reason I brought this up is you mentioned the conspiracy theorists. And the problem that Hack Mankind has is it attracts some of those people. And I just like, you're just being dumb. 2000, and this is why I need your rewording skills because you're so much better at this than me, is 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, we invented Odin when we didn't understand thunder, right? Because we needed to blame it on something or someone, and we needed to appease something or someone. Bill Gates isn't that smart. I'm sorry for anybody listening to this. He is an idiot savant. He is an amazing developer, and he has the ability, he understood monopoly law to the degree where he could literally screw companies out of a balance sheet. That was his skill set. Then Melinda came around, gave him some humanity, and now he's spending his money for good, and he's now a good guy, and I actually quite like him. But to say that he's implanting people with microchips is just absurd and ridiculous. And it's, to me, that's part of this, what we're talking about, this unblinding of, was COVID human created? Probably not. Like a 1 in 10,000 it was, but it probably wasn't. But did we give rise to an infrastructure and a society and a global system of technology without checks and balances that allowed it to spread to the degree that it did? Absolutely. So is the pandemic human created? Yes. Is the virus human created? Probably not. And I think most people, when I say that, don't get what I'm saying. And that I then have to either say it's them, or I have to believe you and say it's on me to sharpen my blade to be able to deliver the message better.
Yeah. So yes, yes, no, yes, no. Right. There's a lot there. Love you.
Sorry,
So
take it
no,
easy.
no, no, no. Right. So um, why don't more people flock to positive messaging? You want, like, let's roll it up and really talk, right?
Yep.
To me, in capitalist structures, there needs to be a monetization model of something great that can happen. So because people need money, right? And that's just how we function. And then I also believe that the way that things grow, truly, like, I don't mean the reason people buy shoes. Like, that's a different question. The reason that people identify with a nation, the reason people identify with um, their religion, the reason people identify with their friends and colleagues is because they see a mechanism to have the basic tools and essence of life, which I guess is why they buy their sneakers too, right? Because they buy their sneakers because they'll feel like they're in better shape, they can be attractive, like so I guess everything is that. But on those more global situations, and I think that when you support people fundamentally with a mechanism to get towards the basic building blocks of life, money, which provides food and shelter, I think people respond if they believe. And so for me, what Unblinded is a mechanism to demonstrate to people how they can have those things more effectively and efficiently at the surface level. But the reason we say more money, more time, more magic, because it's all about the magic in the end. But I think it's hard to attract and gather people, like the people that can make change, the people who have resources, because they feel like the messaging of positivity, the incredibly beautiful messages that we are sharing here at Hack Mankind and Talk About It Unblinded, or any personal development platform that's effective and real, they're just like really busy taking care of like the money part. So I think when there's a connection to, hey, wait, I could learn to like make more money over here, that is initially attractive. And as long as you could deliver on that, then all of a sudden the messaging opens to the rest. Fun moment today. So we have the Unblinded Business Accelerator going, and today we had we put together a video about it with about 10 people on it. And at the end of it, we had some fun joking back and forth, and we're talking about Jared before. And I had fun. If you don't know Star Wars, I don't know if you do or not, Peter. Do you know Star Wars, Peter? Or you do not?
Of course, I was born in '77. I was born in the first year of Star Wars.
I saw it in drive-in in 1977. So I said, Fernando, at one point I was concerned that he was Anakin. And now I believe that he is Rey. Okay. All right. And then I said, and Jared is fundamentally misunderstood, but maybe this will open the listening a bit. I said, he's just Han Solo. And Han Solo began by saying, listen, give me a good blaster and a ship, and I'll take care of everything I need to take care of. And then by episode 7, Han Solo said, the Force is real. It's real. And all during that time continuum, though, when Han Solo was saying, just give me a blaster and a ship and I'll just take care of me, he still came back at the end of Star Wars, episode 4, New Hope, and saved the galaxy and protected Luke Skywalker from being killed. I share that because I think when great people of all sorts of different skill sets, philosophies, and concepts can see an economic reason to align, Han Solo aligned with Ben Kenobi and Luke for money in the beginning. In the end, he became one of the great heroes of the galaxy because he assimilated and had proximity to amazing and incredible people driven by selflessness, hope, and positive intention. And if we can create structures that do those things for people, then I think we're all going to be good, right? We're not all going to be good, but how's this, Peter? I'd sure as heck like to be like, caught up in a group like that, in a grouping like that, than I would to be sitting on my own by myself, complaining about things I have no ability to change. So I'll repeat that. What I'm suggesting is, and this is the truth, I'm not worrying about anything I can't control. I'm worried every day about what I can control. And if I'm not assembling more leaders, I'm thinking, what can I shift to assemble more leaders? Because I cannot control anything until I'm aligned with tons of incredible people, aligned with integrity, in agreement, and then we can figure out a whole bunch of cool stuff to do. So that's how I am answering the question of, well, what do we do? And is it all going to be okay? I choose to believe it is, because choosing to believe it isn't doesn't serve me. So the final mindset motivation piece for today is, fundamentally, none of us actually know. I simply choose to believe out of utility, because it makes my day better if I choose to believe. And the things that would destroy that belief structure, that would eliminate the outcome, would kill me in civil unrest or something crazy happening, I can't control right now. But I can control giving myself the best possibility of helping to be a leader that avoids that ultimate outcome. What say you, my friend?
I love it. As our friend Jess would say, I love that. Brilliant. I was asked, you've reminded me of my relationship with my children in a weird way. Because my daughter asked me the other day why you shouldn't punch the dog. And I said, because dogs might be bigger than you in heaven. And she went, okay. Right. And that's the end of the conversation. We didn't need a philosophical debate. She was given a belief that served her for that moment.
Yeah.
And that belief will evolve and change across time. And hopefully she'll realize that just not hitting the dog is just a good thing, full stop. But I like that. I like that message for people. Focus on what you can change, not what you can't, and believe in that as the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
And step into your greatness whilst you're doing it, please.
Yeah. Final.
Yeah.
If I was drowning in the ocean, right? And listen, I'm speaking as a guy who's blind. So I faced very fundamental, difficult things to deal with, right? I haven't faced some things that people have, but I faced some pretty tough things that by anybody's standards, right? There's tougher, but this is a pretty tough one, right? If I was drowning in the ocean, and I actually almost drowned a couple of years ago, and I always said that riptides weren't real and it's impossible to drown. I'm incredibly proficient in the ocean, and it got hairy in a crazy situation I was in. To the moment I die, right? If I'm in that situation, I am believing it is all going to be okay, because there's just more utility in it. And that will be my true final anchor message for today, Peter.
Beautiful. So your 10-second, why should people join the Unblinded Accelerator?
Because there's nothing else on the planet that will give you a more predictable mechanism of accelerating your financial abundance and freedom, your time leverage, and the magic you want to have, period.
No. And module 2 starts today at what time?
Module 2 at 1:30 p.m. today.
1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, so in our self-focused, Americanized version of things, which we can have, Peter, and I am very present to that, so thank you. 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, yes.
Sean, I don't even mind the Americanization. It's the fact that you have 4 time zones in your country and you still don't bother saying it. That's what I find crazy. There's 4 times. I get these invites from people saying 3 p.m. I'm like, which one?
Thank you, and have a beautiful day, brother.
And you, thank you. This is Peter and Sean on hackmankind.com, www.hackmankind.com, big blue box, put in your email address. If you believe in better, please join us. Thanks, Sean. See you soon.
Thank you.